Wake up, buy here, pay here people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here, Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Hey. Welcome everybody. Happy Monday.
When you see me on the screen, do you get a psychedelic sort of thing?
I'm like,
from my shirt?
This is like one of those
on
things
the one
that
image,
we've been
it looks
told.
like we do.
Mhm.
So I don't.
So sorry, it might be hard to look at Jim today.
Yeah. Just close your eyes, unless you're driving. Or yeah.
Happy Monday.
Yeah. Welcome back to the morning show.
Yeah, I got to work at opening a brand new my sister-in-law's boutique in Twin Falls. It was a lot of fun. Worked the backs. I was like in my bliss, and it's funny because I don't know how to run a cash register because it's their POS system I'm not familiar with, and so I was like, give me jobs.
Point of sale for those of you. POS might not mean what you think it means.
Yeah, that's true. And so I was like, give me jobs, and so I was back there unpacking big, huge boxes of clothing and things, and tagging and labeling, and then finished all of that. And I was like, what else can we do? And they said, I don't know. And I said, can I organize your back storeroom? And they looked at me like I was nuts.
She is pretty nuts, yeah.
And I said, you know what? I love this kind of stuff. And so people kept coming back there to get stuff, and they would look around and they're going, oh my gosh, because I love to organize. I love to organize. I love it. I love it. I love it. And they're like, thank you. And I said, oh no, I'm so happy back here. Just give me treats. Make sure I go outside and get some sunlight every once in a while, and I'm good. Okay?
I brought you lunch. Just throw a little protein.
You did, yeah.
Back.
Yeah, it was great. So
no, it was all good. Yeah. So quick recap on obviously over the weekend we did our broadcast on Friday from up there.
Yeah.
We have coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah.
What will be our 200th episode. We got a lot of fun things in store for that. And also
you're not going to want to miss it.
No, you're going to want to be there for that.
You really are.
We also figured out it's our 66th White Hat Wednesday episode. So we'll definitely be talking a lot about the white hat element, and they got some special guests lined up for that. So look forward to having folks join us on Wednesday.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, I'm
not sure. I'm not sure what we're going to do. So.
We have, for instance, Tim Bird at Dealery is going to be joining us live, and others.
We've extended the offer to some others.
And Tim will be there to talk about how he is supporting the mission of White Hat Way.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's pretty cool. It's really pretty cool. So
we're excited to make that announcement.
Yep. So be there on Wednesday, White Hat Wednesday, 200th episode. Okay.
Today, we'll jump into our topic of the day.
I'm so ready. Are you ready? Okay.
I feel ready. Yeah.
Okay.
So today we want to talk about down payments, and this is something that I chose not to tee up the down payment worksheet that I created. This is something that we have worked with clients to help them, especially new people. When you have a new hire, new salesperson, helping them learn how to ask for more down payment, how to ask for, earn, get more down payment, right? So this is something that will help any of our dealer clients and any listeners, because cars costs are up. Obviously, when we can get more down payment from the customer, it reduces our risk. So we want to talk to you today about techniques, some top tips for how to go about getting the customer to offer up more down payment. A lot of times there's more money on the table than what we hear from the customer. Obviously, the customer would like to reserve some money. So this is an interesting balance that we want to get as much down payment as we can. We don't want to over squeeze the customer.
Well, and we're not saying don't make a sale if they can't make $2,500 down.
No, not at all.
What we're just saying, frequently there's more money on the table than what they're offering up. And so here's how you can.
And I think before we go into the details, I can say that we know that down payment, and we confirmed it with Brent Carmichael in our recent live stream day, that down payment is still one of the biggest drivers of volume. Our flexibility with down payment is what can move the
Can
needle.
we clarify that? Because Neo has been saying that down payment is not an indicator of success of loan,
It's a different thing.
which it's a very different thing. Down payment is it's your spigot for your
But
sales
regardless
and
of the loan performance, what we're suggesting here is that we want the customer to commit to more down payment. Why? Because it's good for us from the risk standpoint. It's good for the customer in at least three ways, which we're going to go through here. But it's like we know that more down payment can obviously reduce the risk for the customer as well, reduces their loan amount and increases their ability to get to the end. So these are all things that we want to try to go through piece by piece and help dealers and new salespeople think about how to ask for down payment, right? And how to earn it. So one of the more interesting parts about down payment, one of the first things to think about, because we hear a lot of dealers that say their process is such that when a customer comes forward, we pull the application, we find out what kind of down payment that the customer can do, and here is a car that we're willing to finance for you. Okay, in your credit circumstances and the down payment you're offering, here's a car, or here's 3 cars to choose from, right? So that's going to be step number 1, is thinking about how do we let the customer, how do we create more down payment at this stage of the process? So you can go ahead and show that first one. So tip number one is let the customer choose. So the reason that's important, we got to navigate this. Now, this takes, a degree of professionalism. We got to be able to manage the process. We got to be able to, I don't love the word control. That's the word that was used when I was first taught, in sales training, how to control the customer. And while there is a degree of,
how about guide?
Yeah, absolutely. We're guiding the customer through an application process and through a finance process. We understand the financing and the terms and the cars and the whole thing better. So we're guiding the customer through the process.
Or leading, yeah.
And one of the ways we can guide the customer here is to allow them to choose. Now, we have to have a conversation. When I say allow them to choose, this is about getting the customer to commit to more down payment than what they might have been willing to do. If the customer comes in and says, I can do $800 down, and you say, okay, then here's a car I can offer you at $800 down. Obviously, the customer doesn't get really excited about that. If it's a car that, it's nothing, it's vanilla, it doesn't excite them, and that's not really what they look forward to driving, then they're probably not going to be real flexible about down payment. They're probably not going to offer more down payment. I mean, we can try, but I'm simply saying when the customer chooses a car that most interests them, most meets their needs, and like I said, that they would be proud to have in their driveway, that can be a factor. Then when we allow the customer to choose a car that is a high interest to them, then our ability to then ask for more down payment and get them to step up in terms of down payment is going to be increased. Now, this is an interesting balance that we strike, because we can't let the customer choose.
Just like, because all of them are going to choose the eye candy that you've got on the front of the thing. And it's like, they come in and, they've got 4 kids and they're looking at this thing that seats, 4 and it's 2 doors and a muscle car. And it's like, this is not the right car for what you guys need.
So it is a balance that we strike. So really, we have to understand the customer's needs. I think one of the things we didn't expect to talk about here is, it kind of goes without saying to me, we need to really understand the customer's needs and eventually their wants, but we certainly need to understand what's the minimum inventory that we have that would meet their needs. So that's part of the sales process that is, loosely tied to down payment, but we first want to understand what car will meet your needs.
Yeah.
But then once we identify that, and then we talk to the customer, this is all before a test drive, by the way, in my approach to talking about down payment, I would always talk to the customer about down payment before a test drive.
Mhm.
Okay. So that helps me as a sales professional to choose a car that's going to
Yeah.
be a good financial fit.
And, one of the things that Jim has used in the past, and, some places it would work, some places it may not work as well, is there's a down payment or a test drive questionnaire.
Mhm.
And that, that usually you're going to have, this is suggested down payment. And so you ask, do you have the suggested down payment?
Mhm.
And that's a yes or no answer. If it's a no answer, then, you can make the decision whether or not you want to proceed with the test drive, maybe get approval from manager or something like that. But and
Yeah.
it's a good time to ask that. Do you have the suggested down?
Yeah. So suggested is the word that we choose.
Not required.
Very intentionally.
Yeah.
Like it's not required. It's suggested. Why? Because we have a ton of flexibility. Like in the approach that I would recommend, the dealer would emphasize with new hires, trainees, nothing's black and white. Like we have a lot of flexibility in what we do, and we can always, there's always gray areas, in this stuff. So it's not like we have you got to have 10% down. Like it's not a requirement. It's a suggestion. So the phrasing I always use is, this is the down payment we recommend to give you the best chance of getting a loan approved. Obviously, we won't know exactly what kind of down payment might be required until we have full application. We've chosen a car, there's a lot of things, but typically we're going to recommend about 10% down, and we've got some flexibility. So, don't get too hung up on that.
Yeah.
My phrasing is to try to help the customer feel at ease.
Also,
don't run away just because you don't
let the customer choose. The second one, tip number 2, we haven't really even gotten into down payment, like the conversation yet, but you're going to let the customer choose the car. And during this process, you're going to build rapport, earn trust. And that's that whole thing. Asking questions, like digging into, how did you hear about us? What can, what is it that brought you in today? And, how many people do you have? And do you got kids? And are you going to be, asking the questions, about them and building that rapport.
Yeah. So any sales material you pick up that's going to offer sales training, he's going to talk about the importance of building some sort of connection and rapport with the customer. And for me, that goes further. It's like, I want to start to earn trust. I want them to understand that I'm here to work with them. Like we like the idea of customer advocacy. Like I'm certainly, as a salesperson, regardless of what my says on my business card, my approach is going to be one of, I'm here to try to help you. I know my inventory. I know our program. My job is to try to help you find a car that'll work for you and fit your financial needs and satisfy your interests.
Yeah. And this is a squirrel, but not really a squirrel.
Okay. Got
it. When we have worked with clients and they're looking to build their sales team, that we typically have, there no sales experience required. It's the type of people that really would excel with this kind of process are like the server that is just builds rapport with the table, or the person that's I remember one of our clients, it was someone from Subway that it's just like, hey, you're really great with people. Would you, and they weren't asking, they weren't upselling, they weren't upselling on a sandwich. But they were just like, how are you guys building rapport and didn't have a problem just getting to know someone because they like people.
Yeah. Some people are just naturally engaging, right?
Yeah.
It's more comfortable for them, whether they're outgoing, gregarious, whatever, but really it's not about being salesy. Like we've done polls on this. We've got some old polls that talked about, what kind of skill level are you looking for when you go hire salespeople? And most said no skill to almost none. Like I'm not looking for, and we had some dealers who will say, I'm looking for experienced car people. Like I'm creating a sales department that can, outsell the competition and move cars. And that's okay. That's their business approach. It's not the one that we recommend for, our clients, because we play a long game. We recommend a long game. And so we're not trying to sell. We're trying to build rapport and trust in the sales team. And the customer will buy.
Yeah.
Well, the customer will buy. So I don't have to be a super high polished salesperson. So let me just kind of be the the voice and face of the salesperson. I'm working with the customer. I'm trying to help them, choose a car that will fit their financial needs. Eventually I'll get around to asking about a trade. And then I'm going to ask regardless of what their answer is on trade, typically they're going to say there's no trade. And I'm going to say, okay, so you're planning to do a down payment, on the car. Have you got some down payment set aside? Like, what are you working with in terms of down payment? Yeah, you can go ahead.
So, well, and part of this too, with that building rapport is making eye contact with them. And I mean, you don't want to stare down.
No, but this is about just, if I'm working with the customer and I'm going to present to them something. So again, this assumes some level of trust, and I'm going to continue to expand on that trust throughout the process, because when it's time to present the customer with the down payment, I'm going to have a car loaded on the screen. This is kind of why I said the down payment worksheet that I created was really a tool that was designed to help newer salespeople almost just fill in the blanks and ask the customer these questions and arrive at, way to ask for the customer for down payment. So something there we need to acknowledge.
Tyler. Well, good morning, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
Jim was in the middle of a sentence, and good morning. Tyler Simmons out of Texas. No prior experience. This is for salespeople. The current state of online leads can really make bumping down payment difficult. The shoppers want the Amazon experience before stepping in the door, and the lowest bidder typically gets first appointment.
It can be more difficult, Tyler. I think the techniques that I'm really suggesting here, if I were a BDR, talking to customers through an online process and chatting with them, I would still be using these techniques. It is more difficult, but I think these techniques would help me. And obviously eye contact is going to be a different thing, but it's like the reason I think about eye contact at this stage, when I work with a customer in a sales process. And so let me just be a trainer for a minute or be a salesperson. So if I'm, presenting the customer with a down payment that we're sitting at the desk, the car that you've chosen is this. We typically, I know you told me on the lot, you're hoping to get in a car with $1,000 down. And I heard you, I understand that's what you're looking to do. Let me just show you. Our default down payment is 15% down. So this is the part where I'm looking them in the eye. So I'm saying our default down payment is 15% down. So you can see that on this particular car that you've chosen, that would be around $2,100 down, and so is that something you can do? Is that, because obviously if you can do more down payment, that's going to help you in a number of ways.
All right. Okay. So we're going into tip number 4 is the opening ask.
Right. So I'm going to ask for a good amount, even though the customer's already said, I've got $1,000. And I heard you, I understand you would like to do $1,000 down. Let me just show you our typical down payment around here. Our default down payment is 15% down. So let me just show you on this particular car, that would be, $2,100. I'm picking numbers here, but that would be about $2,100. Is that something you can do? Because if you can do more down payment than $1,000, that's going to help you in at least 3 ways.
Okay. So it helps with approval.
Yep. If you can do more down payment today, obviously that's going to increase the chance of approval. Okay. It's going to save you interest. It's going to reduce the amount of your loan.
I liked something that I think it was Jack Carter. That's I gotta dig it out. That he was talking about that it's like this is what it's gonna save you in the long run.
And I think it was less of a training video and more of it was a TikTok video aimed at consumers, which I think is fantastic. And it can also serve as training in the same time because you're basically having the same conversation directly with the customer. But that would be my approach. And I'm saying when I ask for down payment, I'm okay with asking for a big number. And I'm going to look the customer in the eye and I'm going to say, if you could do more down payment, obviously it's going to help. It's going to help with the chance of approval. It obviously helps on our side with the approval side. But where it helps you is, 1, it helps you get in the car that you want. 2, it's going to save you some interest, right? So it means you're going to get paid off more quickly. You're going to own it more quickly if you can do more down payment. And then, it could help me lower the payments. Like if you are interested in lower payment, we could do that. Or, obviously we keep the payments the same and you'd be paid off more quickly, but it could potentially help keep the payments lower. So my point is, I just look the customer in the eye. I ask for a big number and I explain to them why it's in their best interest. Like I can help the customer understand, here's how it would help you.
Yeah, we'll have another episode where that down payment worksheet that Jim has put together. We've been working with a few of our clients with it, and it shows, okay, and it's like not a down it's actually a four square, but
Sort of. Mhm.
it's and so to show the customer, if you could bump up this to this, that we could either decrease the amount of time, so you're only going to be paying this off this amount of time, or that could lower your payment
Yeah.
by $50 a month, or whatever.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
again, those three things I just asked, I'm never going to be afraid to ask for a
Mhm.
big down payment. I don't care if it's $5,000 down. I'm not afraid to ask for it. Why? Because it's in the customer's best interest.
It is, but I think that there's something to clarify, is that not having a large down payment, if they can't do it, that is not something that should preclude you
No,
from doing a deal.
not at all.
Um,
No, we're not going to
yeah.
broom any customers here.
Mhm.
We're going to certainly be flexible. So I'm going to
Mhm.
ask for as much down payment as I can
Mhm.
get, and then I'm going to
Do your darndest to get them into
I'm gonna
the
try to help
vehicle
them solve their
of
problem.
their
I mean, again, I'm a
yeah.
problem solver. My
Yeah.
job is to help the customer solve their transportation needs and
Mhm.
find something that fits financially within our inventory. And I'm gonna work hard. I always say that if we miss a customer, if I'm the salesperson, if I miss a customer, it won't be because I quit trying.
Mhm.
Of course, there will be things that we come across that we simply can't solve. The customer doesn't have sufficient income, whatever. There will be things that I
Mhm.
simply can't solve. Now, I could talk about a co-buyer in that situation, or there'd be other things that I could keep trying to do to help the customer, get the car that really, meets their needs and makes
Mhm.
them happy and proud to
Yeah.
have it in their driveway. I'm going to work hard to help make that happen. I just know that, we have certain financial parameters that we operate within every day. And
Mhm.
sometimes I can't make it all happen. So this kind of takes us to the bonus tip, which is really kind of tied back into the first thing we talked
Mhm.
about, which is, all my approach throughout all of this is that I'm happy to help the customer buy the car they most want to buy. So this kind of conversation would actually be most likely to happen at the front end whenever the customer is telling me back to that number one, which said, let's let the customer choose. Well, if I let the customer choose, they might choose the most expensive car, right? That happens. So I'm just simply saying, I know I can't do that every time. So I'm going to say to the customer, look, I want to try to help you buy the car you most want to own. Obviously, if you want to
Mhm.
buy that third row SUV instead of this four-door car, that's probably going to require some more down payment in order to get the approval done and get the payments where you're wanting them. It's probably going to require substantial down payment. But don't misunderstand. I'm happy to try to help you buy. If that's the car you want to buy, I'm happy to try to help you buy that. If you got some way we can talk about some more down payment, if you got maybe a trade that we haven't talked about, or if you got, some way to come up with some more down payment. The point is, I'm simply working on behalf of the customer to help them buy the car that they want. Now, because of the down payment, we haven't even driven the car yet, right? So I'm just saying before we drive that third row SUV, have you got a way to come up with some more down payment? Because I'm not sure I'll be able to help with that particular car unless we can talk about some more down payment. And so I'm just trying to help them. It's coming from a
Mhm.
standpoint of I can try to help you buy that third row SUV. And so I'm working hard to do that. And so
Mhm.
in the end, what happens, instead of me telling the customer, you can only pick from these two cars, I want the customer to realize that themselves and make that decision for themselves. There's a big difference there.
To guide them into a financial decision that makes sense for them.
That's right. And
Yeah.
so I'm over here saying, oh, I'm happy to try to
Yeah.
help you buy that third row SUV. I'm not the one saying no. I'm happy to try to help you.
It's
And so what
yeah.
about- can you maybe do $2,500 down? Have you got a way
Yeah.
to come up with some more cash down?
Tyler piped in again. The acknowledgement saying benefits of more down. That
Mhm.
does take some training, experience, communicating clearly.
Sure.
Yes, and also the right tools, which
Yeah.
is a lot of people. And this is one of the reasons why Jim's been working on this
Foursquare.
Foursquare that is updated, because it allows a really elegant visual, because most people are visual learners too.
Mhm.
And so it allows an elegant visual for our customers to be able to kind of watch this. And it's like, oh, because some of these ideas about finance are things that they haven't been taught.
Yeah, and
And
this is why I look
yeah,
forward to having Candace Price back on, and I'd love to have Tyler in there too. We
yeah.
we 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 want to talk about Candace used the phrase knowledge gap, which I love.
Mhm.
I think what's happening here is all these things you're talking about, Tyler, are absolutely true. And we know that when the customer comes in, the customers that we meet, they just don't understand. They don't have good understanding of the financing. The financial literacy is kind of a thing. And so we want to be able to help them understand in a way that we're there to help. We're not trying to, be condescending or talk down to them or treat them, poorly. We're just trying to make sure to help them understand. And so the visual tools, she's right, help to show the customer, this is why this math doesn't really work,
And
go ahead.
it's help. I'm sorry. It's like what Jack did with that TikTok is it's just some real simple education too. And so, I agree with Tyler that takes training and, you being able to communicate ideas. But if you have things that are in front of you that will help guide your team without having, like super skilled in navigating those, it creates a way for them to easily just navigate. This is part of the process. And a mom whose kids are in school that's now helping doing financing for you can like, all right, this is the way that it works, and see how this changes. And
I think the sales training, to me, like, I think if Tyler, if I were a salesperson that came to work for you, if I could bring this understanding of like just these pieces that we're talking about here, when I meet a customer, doesn't matter if I'm chatting with them online, on the phone, on the lot, my approach is, I want to try to help you buy the car that you want to buy. And so talk to me about what your needs are. I'm certainly going to understand needs. I'm sure as we talk about that, there'll be some wants that come up, but like, let's understand needs. I'm going to try to help the customer buy the car they really want. I'm going to be flexible. I'm not going to say, my job is really not to say no to anything. I'm not trying to sweep the customer, tell them what can and can't be done. I'm saying, they try to be flexible. Obviously there's a limit to that. I've just had more down payment you can do, the better. It's going to help you with approval, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just working from that perspective. I'm trying to help the customer, solve their problem. And I'm not the one who's going to be saying no to them, except that I'll be able to say, that's a pretty difficult deal. With that kind of down payment on that car, trying to keep your payments at 500, that's going to be a really difficult deal. And so, we just have that approach in that conversation. So I can navigate as a salesperson, I can navigate through all those conversations based on that outcome that I'm looking for. And like I say, the customer may have to, ultimately say, well, I definitely want that third row SUV, but I can't do more than $1,000 down. And so now I'm in a spot where I just have to, go talk to a manager, and I'm not going to be the one to let them go. I'm going to say, that's a really difficult deal. It seems unlikely that, but let me go try. Let me go see what I can find out. And let a manager look at the application, whatever. But my job is really to try to get the customer to commit to more down payment without losing them. The one thing I also should say, I'm going to work with whatever down payment they have today. So sometimes the customer may say, well, I can do 1,500 a day, but I could probably do 2,500 in 2 weeks, then now as a business owner, if I'm the salesperson, or if I'm hearing that as a business owner, I'm not waiting 2 weeks on the chance that, because if you got 2,500 in 2 weeks, I don't know if you'll be back to do business with me. I'm going to do business today based on what I know today. And so this is why I think it's important for us.
That's where a deferred down can kind of come into
deferred
play.
Down, tax refund season, down payment. That's not really a down payment in my mind. It's a creative payment schedule with tax refund payments. I'll get super creative about that stuff, but I'm just saying, I'm going to make a yes or no decision on putting a customer in a car today based on whatever down payment they can do today. So yeah, especially if this customer's on the lot, like if they're on the lot, it's like the old sales manager I used to work with. If a customer's on the lot, they're not here to buy a ham sandwich, so just like, if they're here to finance
and usually
a car,
when they say we'll be back.
Yeah. So
how
does that work, Tyler? When they say, well, they'll be back,
we'll be back.
They come back very often?
Yeah. So Tyler, if you're still listening, we'll be in touch because we'd like to put together.
Tyler's busy working car deals.
Know
it's like after 10 a.m. in Texas. He's got car deals going on. He's got carryover from the weekend. He's a busy dude.
Get him on.
Yeah. We know that about the morning show. We're broadcasting when you folks are busy out there, and so that's the nature of it. But yeah, I think I feel like we covered that subject pretty well. I hope we offered some techniques that will help salespeople or sales managers work with their team.
Jim's, like I said, working through with Tyler. Excellent. Looking forward to actually listening while on a sales call.
There you go. How about that?
Look at you multitasking.
Do we need to talk to the customer? You need a closer? You want to turn it? Let's talk to him. See what I can do. I'll ask him for some down payment. Let me talk to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we'll be in touch, Tyler, and get you all on the show. What else before
a reminder again about our Wednesday
Uh-huh.
episode. Please don't miss that. Some of you won't be able to catch it live, but this will be an important episode.
It's something you're
it's
not going
really
to
about
miss.
It's a big announcement about the future of White Hat Way. So
we those of you who've been kind of listening, is that a lot of what we're doing is the nucleus, the center point of all that we're doing is White Hat Way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got some things happening, and Tim Bird is going to be joining us and others, and they're ready to step in and help.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about that. All right, everybody.
So 11 Eastern on Wednesday. We'll see y'all then.
Yep. Have a great day. Rest of your day. Talk to you on Wednesday.